Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why some men leave a lasting impression, while others, despite trying so hard, fade away? The answer is simple. It's not about doing more, it's about doing it right. There are two secret moves that most men don't even think about, and yet these moves are so powerful, so magnetic that women can't resist them. Are you ready to discover them? Confidence, the one quality that transforms an ordinary man into someone unforgettable. Think about it. How many times have you seen a person walk into a room, not the most attractive, not the richest, not even the smartest, and yet everyone turns to look at him? Why? Because confidence speaks louder than appearance, louder than money, louder than anything else. When you approach a woman, when you speak, when you move, if confidence is missing, it doesn't matter how many techniques, everything will collapse. Confidence is the foundation. Without it, every move falls flat. With it, even the simplest gesture can feel magnetic. But let's make something very clear. Confidence is not arrogance. Arrogance is shouting, "Look at me, I'm better than everyone else." Confidence whispers, "I know who I am and I don't need anyone's approval to prove it." Do you see the difference? Arrogance pushes people away. True confidence pulls them in. So how do you build this kind of confidence? First, understand that confidence is not given, it is cultivated. You don't wake up one morning and magically feel unstoppable. Confidence is trained like a muscle through small actions, daily habits, and conscious practice. One of the greatest killers of confidence is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of judgment. But here's the truth: rejection will not destroy you, failure will not end you, and judgment cannot define you. The only thing that can truly break you is giving in to fear. So every time you face fear and take action anyway, you're building confidence brick by brick. Think about presence for a moment. When you walk into a room, do you look down, shuffle your feet, and shrink yourself smaller, or do you stand tall, breathe deeply, and claim your space? Your body speaks before your mouth ever opens. If your shoulders are tight, your head is lowered, your eyes avoid contact, you are silently saying, "I don't believe in myself." But if your chest is open, your eyes steady, your movements calm, you are saying, "I belong here." And people believe you. Because confidence is contagious. Another part of confidence comes from preparation. Most men think confidence means faking it until you make it. But the truth is, confidence grows when you put in the work. If you prepare, if you practice, if you sharpen your skills, you walk in knowing, "I'm ready." Preparation removes doubt, and doubt is the enemy of confidence. Want to feel confident in communication? Read, learn, practice your voice, expand your vocabulary. Want to feel confident in your body? Train it, fuel it, take care of it. Confidence comes when you know you've done the work behind the scenes. And here's something most men miss. Confidence isn't loud, it's calm. Real confidence doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to brag, doesn't need to dominate. Real confidence is steady, grounded, almost quiet, but powerful. Have you ever met someone who says very little, yet when they speak, everyone listens? That's not an accident. That's the power of inner confidence. Now let's tie this back to attraction. Women notice confidence before they notice anything else. You could wear the best clothes, have the best hairstyle, know all the so-called moves. But if you're nervous, hesitant, or insecure, it shows. On the other hand, even if you say something simple, if it's said with belief and calm energy, it leaves a lasting impression. She doesn't just hear your words, she feels your certainty. And certainty is irresistible. But remember, this confidence is not just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. If you constantly criticize yourself, doubt yourself, and compare yourself to others, you will always feel weak. But if you start affirming your strengths, appreciating your progress, and focusing on growth, you will radiate belief from within. And that inner belief is the foundation of outer attraction. Let me give you a simple exercise. Every morning, stand in front of the mirror, shoulders back, chin slightly lifted, and look into your own eyes. Don't rush. Don't laugh it off. Just look and tell yourself, "I am enough. I am capable. I belong." Do this daily and watch how your energy shifts. Sounds small, but over time, these moments train your subconscious to accept confidence as your natural state. Now ask yourself this: if I don't believe in myself, why should anyone else? The truth is, people mirror the way you feel about yourself. If you treat yourself as second best, they will too. If you walk in with certainty, they will sense it and respond. It's not magic, It's psychology. Confidence is the signal and people tune in automatically. So when I say confidence is the foundation, I mean it with every fiber of truth. Without confidence, every move feels forced, fake, and fragile. With confidence, even silence speaks, even presence inspires, even stillness becomes powerful. So remember this, cultivate confidence daily. Stand tall, face fear, prepare, practice, and believe. Because once you build unshakable confidence, you won't need 1,000 tricks. You'll only need one, you. And that, my friend, is more than enough. Connection before technique. Such a simple idea, yet so many men ignore it. They chase methods, tricks, and so-called moves, thinking that if they just learn the right formula, everything will work. But here's the truth, no technique will ever replace genuine connection. What she feels matters more than what you do. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone was saying all the right words, but it felt empty, mechanical, almost robotic? Did you connect with them? Of course not. Words without emotion are lifeless. Actions without intention are meaningless, and that is why connection always comes before technique. When you focus only on technique, you may impress for a moment, but when you create connection, you touch the heart, and that lasts far longer. A woman doesn't remember every detail of what you did, but she will always remember how you made her feel. That is the secret most men miss. But what does connection really mean? Connection is the invisible bridge between two people. It is built from attention, empathy, and authenticity. When you are connected, she feels safe, seen, and valued. Without connection, no matter how polished your technique, it will feel shallow. Let's start with attention. Attention is the first layer of connection. When you give her your full focus, no phone in your hand, no wandering eyes, no distractions, you are sending a powerful message. You matter. And believe me, women notice the small things. They notice if you're half listening. They notice if your energy is elsewhere. They notice if you are treating the moment as routine. But when you lean in, when your eyes are steady, when your energy says, I am here with you, the connection deepens instantly. The second layer is empathy. Empathy is not about fixing her problems, not about rushing to give advice. It's about understanding. When she shares something, do you truly listen to her words, her tone, her emotions? Or are you waiting for your turn to speak? Most men listen to reply, but very few listen to feel. And yet, when you actually feel with her, when you reflect back her emotions, when you validate her experience, she feels connected on a level no technique can ever reach. And then comes authenticity. Connection cannot exist without honesty. You cannot fake authenticity. If you pretend to be someone you're not, if you wear a mask, if you hide your truth, she will sense it. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. Authenticity is magnetic. When you speak honestly, when you share openly, when you dare to be vulnerable, she feels that you are real. And realness creates trust, and trust is the strongest bond of all. Now let's be clear, this doesn't mean technique has no value. Technique is useful. It can refine, it can guide, it can add spice. But without connection, technique is like a beautifully wrapped gift with nothing inside, impressive for a moment, disappointing in the end. With connection, even the simplest gesture feels powerful. Imagine just holding her hand, but doing it while fully present, fully intentional, fully connected. That handhold will feel stronger than 1,000 practiced moves done without heart. Think about energy. People often say chemistry, but what they really mean is energy. When your energy matches hers, when your flow connects, it feels natural, effortless, almost electric. But if your energy is off, if you're rushing while she's slowing down, if you're distracted while she's vulnerable, the technique will fail, no matter how perfect it looks. Connection aligns energy, and once energy is aligned, everything else flows. So how do you build connection practically? First, slow down. In a world that races forward, slowing down is powerful. When you slow your speech, when you slow your movements, when you allow silence instead of filling every gap, you give space for connection to grow. Silence is not empty. Silence is where feelings breathe. Second, ask questions that go deeper than the surface. Don't just ask, how was your day? Ask, what part of today made you smile the most? Or, what challenged you today? These questions open doors. They show genuine interest. They create opportunities for emotions to come alive. And emotions are the fuel of connection. Third, share yourself. Connection is not one-sided. It's not only about listening, it's about exchanging. Share your thoughts, your passions, your fears, your dreams. When you reveal a piece of yourself, you invite her to do the same. And suddenly, the walls drop, the masks fall, and real connection begins. Connection also requires presence in the smallest moments. It's in the way you look at her when she's laughing, the way you remember small details she mentioned weeks ago, the way you celebrate her wins and support her struggles. These moments, tiny but powerful, create an emotional bond that no secret move can compete with. Let me put it this way, if technique is the language of action, connection is the language of the soul. You can speak action all day, but if you don't speak soul, she won't feel the truth of your presence, and the truth is what she craves. She doesn't want perfection, she wants connection. She doesn't want a flawless performance, she wants an authentic experience. And when you give her that, everything changes. So remember, connection before technique, always, because what she feels will outlast what you do. And if you give her the gift of connection, you won't just capture her attention for a moment, you'll capture her heart for a lifetime. Attention to detail separates the ordinary from the unforgettable. Think about it for a second. Anyone can do the obvious, but it's the small things, the hidden touches, the unnoticed moments that make the biggest difference. Life rewards those who pay attention. Relationships reward those who pay attention. And attraction, real, lasting attraction, thrives on the details most people overlook. Why is detail so powerful? Because detail shows care. It shows presence. It shows that you are not just moving through life mechanically, but intentionally. When you notice the little things, when you respond to the subtle cues, when you remember what others forget, you instantly stand out. Ordinary fades into the background, but the unforgettable, they shine. Let's break it down. When you're with someone, do you notice her expressions? The slight shift in her eyes, the curve of her lips, the change in her tone? Or do you just hear the words and miss the meaning behind them? People reveal more in their details than in their speeches. A woman may say, "I'm fine," but her face tells you she's not. Most men miss that, but the man who pays attention, the one who gently says, "I can tell something's on your mind," creates an unforgettable connection. Attention to detail also means remembering. Do you remember the little stories she tells you? The name of her childhood pet, the coffee she likes, the way she lights up when she talks about a certain dream. These are not small things, they are emotional gold. When you bring them up later, when you surprise her with something connected to those details, you're not just proving memory, you're proving care. And care, in a world full of distractions, is rare and unforgettable. But here's the catch. Attention to detail isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. You don't need to memorize everything, but you do need to engage with intention. For example, when she shares something, do you nod and move on? Or do you ask a follow-up question, showing that you actually absorbed what she said? Details live in the follow-ups. The man who digs deeper, who shows genuine curiosity, is the man she'll remember long after the conversation ends. Now let's expand this into action. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, a man gives flowers, beautiful, expensive, impressive. In the second, a man remembers she once mentioned her favorite book, and he surprises her with a copy, with a handwritten note inside. Which one is unforgettable? It's not about money, it's about meaning. The detail makes the difference. Attention to detail also transforms experiences. Think about it. Two men might take her to dinner. One goes through the motions, order food, eat, talk, leave. The other notices she's a little cold, offers his jacket, remembers she loves a specific dish, orders it before she even asks, and makes eye contact while listening instead of scanning the room. Same dinner. Two completely different experiences. Why? Because one man focused on the details. The beauty of detail is that it multiplies impact. A small detail done with intention carries more emotional weight than a grand gesture done without thought. Most men think they need something massive to impress, but it's the opposite. The smallest thing, when it shows attention, leaves the deepest mark. Ordinary men go big, unforgettable men go precise. And here's another truth. Attention to detail builds trust. Why? Because it shows consistency. If you notice the little things, she knows you're truly paying attention. Not just pretending. She knows you're not on autopilot, but genuinely invested. Trust doesn't grow from speeches. It grows from the details repeated over time. But let's not limit this to relationships. In every area of life, detail is what separates average from excellence. The athlete who studies the angle of his foot placement, the musician who adjusts a single note to perfect harmony, the leader who remembers the names of his team's children. These are the details that create greatness, and the same applies in human connection. You don't become unforgettable by doing what everyone else does. You become unforgettable by noticing what everyone else ignores. How do you train yourself to master details? First, slow down. Speed makes us miss everything. When you rush, you overlook. When you slow, you observe. Slow your conversations, slow your listening, slow your reactions. Details live in the spaces you usually rush past. Second, engage your senses. Don't just hear, listen. Don't just look, see. Don't just touch, feel. Every sense collects details if you train it. Hear the tone, not just the words. See the expressions, not just the face. Feel the energy, not just the touch. This sensory awareness unlocks a world most people miss. Third, reflect. After a moment, ask yourself what stood out. What was different? What made her light up? What made her quiet? What changed her mood? Reflection trains memory, and memory keeps details alive. And remember, attention to detail is not about pressure, it's about intention. It's not about forcing perfection, it's about caring enough to notice, caring enough to remember, caring enough to act. Because the truth is, the woman you're with doesn't want you to do everything. She just wants you to notice something. And when you notice, you elevate yourself from ordinary to unforgettable. So let this truth sink in. Technique without detail feels mechanical, but detail turns even the simplest action into magic. Every detail is a message. I see you, I value you, I remember you. And that message, more than any grand performance, is what will stay in her heart forever. Energy is contagious. Your passion inspires her passion. Have you ever noticed how some people light up a room the moment they walk in, while others seem to drain the air around them? It's not magic, it's energy. Your energy is constantly communicating, even before you say a single word. And the truth is, people feel your energy more than they hear your words. Think about it. When you're excited, when you're alive, when your spirit is on fire, others around you feel it too. Your passion sparks theirs. But when you're dull, negative, hesitant, or distracted, that energy spreads just as quickly. Attraction is not just about looks or words. It's about the energy you bring into every moment. Passion is irresistible. Why? Because passion is rare. Most people move through life half awake, half engaged, half alive. So when someone shows up fully alive, with genuine enthusiasm, with real excitement, with contagious passion, it stands out instantly. A woman doesn't just see passion, she feels it in your tone, your movements, your eyes. And that feeling draws her in stronger than any technique ever could. But here's the key: energy cannot be faked for long. You can pretend to be excited, you can put on a smile, you can force laughter, but real energy, real passion comes from within. It comes from living a life you actually care about, from doing things you love, from believing in yourself and your direction. That's why the most attractive energy is authentic energy. Now let's get practical. How does energy show up in your interactions? Start with your body language. Are you slouched, slow, disengaged? Or do you stand tall, move with purpose, and carry yourself like someone alive? Body language is the first broadcast of your energy. If your posture screams, "I'm tired," your energy tells the same story. But if your posture says, "I'm ready, I'm here, I'm alive," people feel it instantly. Next, your voice. Is it flat, monotone, and lifeless, or does it carry rhythm, depth, and emotion? Your voice is not just sound, it's energy in motion. The way you emphasize, the pauses you allow, the excitement in your tone, all of it creates an emotional experience for the listener. A passionate voice can make even the simplest words sound powerful. Then there's your focus. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is scattered, your energy is weak. If your attention is present, your energy is strong. A woman feels it when you're truly there with her, fully engaged, fully invested. She feels your energy pouring into the moment, and that inspires her to give hers back. But let's look deeper. Passion doesn't just inspire her passion, it inspires trust. Why? Because when you live with passion, you prove that you can commit, that you can care deeply, that you can bring life into what you do. And someone who can bring life into their own world can also bring life into hers. That's powerful. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine showing up tired, distracted, half interested. Even if you say all the right things, the energy behind your words betrays you. She doesn't feel the spark, the warmth, the fire. And without that, there's nothing to inspire. That's why some men are quickly forgotten. They bring no energy. And that's why some men are unforgettable. They bring passion into everything. So how do you build contagious energy? First, fuel yourself. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit, your energy will always feel drained. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, learning, growth, these are not luxuries, they are fuel. And without fuel, passion burns out. Second, practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your energy instantly. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, when you see blessings instead of problems, your energy rises. People feel the difference. A grateful man radiates abundance. An ungrateful man radiates emptiness. Which one do you think inspires passion? Third, align with purpose. Nothing creates energy like living in alignment with what matters to you. When you know your values, when you pursue goals that excite you, when you wake up with a reason, you naturally radiate passion. And passion is magnetic. Purpose-driven energy doesn't need to be forced, it flows. Also, understand this passion is not about volume or intensity all the time. It's about presence and depth. You can be calm and still radiate energy if your presence is grounded and alive. Passion is not only fire, it can also be warmth. Sometimes it's the quiet intensity in your eyes, the steady strength in your voice, the calm certainty in your actions that spreads energy more than shouting ever could. And yes, energy is contagious both ways. If you bring negative energy, it pulls her down. If you bring positive, passionate energy, it lifts her up. That's why it's your responsibility to guard your energy. Don't let toxic environments, constant complaints, or endless distractions drain you. Protect your energy, because your energy shapes not only your life but also the lives of those you touch. In the end, passion is not about impressing. It's about inspiring. It's about showing up with a fire that says, I am alive, and I want to share this aliveness with you. And when she feels that, when she sees that glow, when she experiences that contagious energy, her own passion awakens. Because energy is not taught, it's caught. And the man who lives with passion becomes unforgettable, not by force, but by presence. That is the true power of contagious energy. Simplicity often beats complexity. 2 moves done right can change everything. Most men think they need 1,000 tricks, endless techniques, or complicated strategies to make an impact. But the truth is, less is often more. Simplicity, when done with precision, presence, and passion, is far more powerful than complexity done without care. Why do so many people overcomplicate things? Because they believe the more they do, the better the outcome. They think stacking layers of action will somehow create intensity. But what actually happens? The message gets lost, the energy gets scattered, the authenticity fades. Complexity often hides insecurity. Simplicity, on the other hand, radiates confidence. It says, I don't need to do everything. I just need to do the right things, and I'll do them well. Think about music. A song doesn't need 1,000 instruments to move your soul. It might only take a piano and a voice, but when played with emotion, it becomes unforgettable. The same is true in connection and attraction. You don't need endless moves. You just need a few, done with intention, done with presence, done with care. Simplicity is powerful because it gives space. Space for the other person to feel. Space for the moment to breathe. Space for emotions to rise naturally. When you overload with too much, the magic disappears. But when you simplify, the experience deepens. Imagine this. A man spends hours planning a grand, complicated evening, multiple stops, elaborate details, endless activities. Sounds impressive, right? But in reality, it can feel overwhelming, rushed, almost exhausting. Now imagine another man. He plans one simple thing. A quiet walk at sunset, a meaningful conversation, a shared laugh. Which one leaves a stronger memory? Complexity entertains, but simplicity touches the heart. The same applies to the moves most men chase. They try so hard to impress with everything they know, but they forget that mastery is not about quantity, it's about quality. One gesture, one look, one touch, when done with authenticity, can feel far more powerful than 10 done without presence. Simplicity focuses energy, and focused energy creates impact. But here's the secret. Simplicity is not laziness, it's refinement. It's not about doing less out of effort. It's about doing less with more meaning. Anyone can be complicated. Very few can strip things down to the essence and still make them unforgettable. That's what separates amateurs from masters. Look at history. The greatest leaders, teachers, and artists were masters of simplicity. Their words were clear, their messages direct, their actions precise. Why? Because simplicity cuts through noise. People don't remember complicated speeches, they remember the one sentence that hit their heart. People don't remember 10 forced moves, they remember the one that made them feel alive. Now let's connect this to attraction. A woman doesn't fall for the one who tries to juggle 10 techniques at once. She falls for the one who makes her feel something real. And often that comes from the simplest moments. A genuine compliment at the right time. A steady look that communicates without words. A touch that feels intentional, not mechanical. These are simple but unforgettable. Simplicity also reveals mastery. Think about martial arts. The beginner wants to learn every kick, every strike, every move, but the master, he practices the same few moves thousands of times until they are perfect. Why? Because mastery is not about knowing everything. It's about doing a few things so well that they cannot fail. The same principle applies here. You don't need many moves, you just need to perfect the ones that matter most. Another reason simplicity beats complexity, it allows authenticity to shine. When you overcomplicate, you become focused on what comes next. You're in your head, not in the moment. But when you simplify, you're free. Free to be present, free to feel, free to connect. And presence is far more attractive than performance. And here's the beauty, simplicity is remembered. Complexity is forgotten. Think about it. Can you recall every detail of a complicated event from years ago? Probably not. But you remember the simple things, the smile, the laugh, the glance, the hug. These moments stay because simplicity leaves space for memory. So how do you practice simplicity in action? First, slow down. Don't rush through trying to do everything. Choose one or two actions and give them your full energy. Slow movements carry more weight than fast, scattered ones. Second, strip away what isn't necessary. Ask yourself, is this adding value or just adding noise? Focus on what matters most. Third, refine through repetition. Find the gestures, the words, the looks that truly resonate and master them. Repetition creates natural flow. Flow creates impact. And most importantly, bring emotion into simplicity. 2 moves without emotion are just moves, but 2 moves with passion, with intention, with presence, they become unforgettable. Simplicity is confidence. Simplicity is focus. And in a world where everyone is trying to do more, the man who knows how to do less, but do it better, becomes unforgettable. Because in the end, it's not about the quantity of what you do, it's about the quality of how you make her feel. Growth mindset. Learn, improve, and never settle for good enough. Do you realize how many people stop themselves from reaching greatness simply because they accept mediocrity? They convince themselves that good enough is enough. But here's the truth. Good enough is the enemy of excellence, the silent killer of potential, the barrier that stops men from becoming unforgettable. What does it mean to have a growth mindset? It means believing that you can always improve, always evolve, always expand your skills and your presence. It means understanding that failure is not the end. It's feedback. Every mistake is not proof that you're weak. It's proof that you're trying. And every attempt, whether successful or not, is another step toward mastery. Too many men get stuck in a fixed mindset. They think, this is who I am, I can't change. I'm either good at this or I'm not. That mindset kills growth. That mindset keeps you stuck. But when you adopt a growth mindset, you flip the script. You say, I may not be perfect now, but I can learn. I can improve. I can become more. And that belief changes everything. Think about attraction. How many men believe they either have it or they don't? They think charisma, confidence, or connection is something you're born with. Wrong. These are skills that can be practiced, refined, and mastered. A growth mindset sees every interaction as a chance to learn, every failure as a lesson, every success as motivation to keep going. Instead of avoiding challenges, you embrace them. Instead of fearing rejection, you use it to get sharper. That's the power of growth. But here's the trap: settling for good enough. You learn a little, you improve a little, and then you stop. Why? Because comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers, you're fine the way you are. Don't push harder. Don't take risks. But comfort never creates excellence. The moment you settle, the moment you stop growing, is the moment you start declining. Life is never still. You are either improving or decaying. Which direction do you want to move in? Growth mindset also requires humility. You must be willing to admit you don't know everything. You must be open to learning from others, from experiences, from feedback. Arrogance says, I already know enough. Growth says, I can always learn more. Which one do you think leads to greatness? Now let's make it practical. How do you apply growth mindset in real life? Start by reframing failure. Don't see it as defeat, see it as data. If something doesn't work, ask, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust? Growth mindset turns obstacles into opportunities. Next, seek feedback. Ask yourself, who can I learn from? Who can show me what I'm missing? Feedback is a mirror. You may not like what you see, but it helps you grow. Most men avoid feedback because it bruises their ego. But the men who grow seek it, embrace it, and use it to get stronger. Another way to practice growth mindset: set goals beyond your comfort zone. Don't aim for what you know you can achieve. Aim for what challenges you, stretches you, scares you a little. Growth doesn't live in comfort. It lives in discomfort. Every time you step beyond your limits expand. That's growth. And let's be honest, growth requires patience. You will not transform overnight. Mastery takes time. Improvement takes repetition. But if you keep showing up, if you stay consistent, if you keep pushing forward, you will grow. And one day, you'll look back and realize the man you were is nothing compared to the man you've become. That realization is worth every struggle, every setback, every lesson. But here's something powerful. Growth mindset doesn't just improve you, it inspires others. When a woman sees that you're constantly learning, constantly improving, constantly evolving, she feels your energy. She respects your drive. She admires your resilience. Why? Because growth is attractive. Stagnation is not. A man who refuses to settle, who keeps moving forward, becomes magnetic because his life itself is proof of passion. Think about it. Who do you want to follow? The man who says, "This is all I'll ever be," or the man who says, "Watch me become better every day"? Who do you want to connect with? The one who clings to comfort, or the one who reaches for greatness? Growth mindset is not just a personal philosophy, it's an aura. It shows in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you live. And here's the truth: the moment you stop growing, you stop inspiring. The moment you settle for good enough, you become forgettable. But when you commit to growth, you stay alive, you stay evolving, you stay unforgettable. So remember, never settle. Never say, "Good enough." Always ask, "What's my next level? What can I learn today? How can I improve?" Because greatness is not achieved in one leap, but in small steps, repeated daily, fueled by the belief that you can always grow. That belief is the foundation of everything. That belief is what makes men extraordinary. That belief is the growth mindset.